Okay, so that's the carbs back together. So that was just a couple of clips there of me reassembling the carbs. So all new jets, two new floats, and these are the old floats. I've set the float heights and they are ready to go back onto the throttle body. So a couple of new parts that have arrived. So I've now got the O-rings for the T-joints. I've got some replacement bowl drain screws. So if you saw in the last video, I actually had to drill out and use an easy out to get the old screw out as they were all stuck in. So these screws with new O-rings will replace those. I've also got fuel overflow pipe, fuel line as well. The outer diameter is a little bit thicker than the original one, so hopefully it works, but the inner diameter is the same. So yeah, I just need to fit these parts, which I've already done on these two, which basically connect the carb bodies to the throttle body. But just for now, I'm just going to put the carb bolt back on, just with a couple of screws without the gaskets, just to save me sort of knocking the floats there. So just going to put these on quickly and then get the carbs back onto the throttle body, get a picture of sort of before and after of sort of how these carbs looked before I started, and then obviously how they look now, and then I'll get the bowls back on with the gaskets. Okay, so there's the bowls back on the carbs with the new drain screws. So yeah, all ready to be built back up. So I'll probably just switch to a time lapse now, just because I think this video is dragging on a little bit. But yeah, next video will probably be the carbs fully built back up onto the throttle body. Okay, so there we have it. The carbs are all back together. yeah, unfortunately, the fuel line that I bought just from Halfords is actually too thick to clear all the mechanisms. Sort of inside it was fouling, so you might have seen that on the time lapse. So I have rebuilt these without the fuel line, which I'll have to just put on at a later date and actually get the proper fuel line, which is obviously going to have a narrower outer diameter. So I'm just going to flip these just so the float bowls are at the top, just to get some sort of before and after shots. So yeah, if you haven't seen what these carbs looked like before I started, then I'll insert a clip now, and then I'll take off these bowls and then just get some after shots. Fit these little tabs as well, and then obviously refit bowls with the gasket, and that'll be it really, other than giving them a bench sink so that all the slides are at the same height. So yeah, I'll just take off the float bowls now, and then we can compare sort of what they looked like before and how they look now. Okay, so that's the float bowls off. So I just want to get a picture or video just of a similar angle to the basically the caption that I had in the first episode of stripping these carbs down, just to give it a bit of a comparison and show you sort of what it looked like before and how it looks like now, obviously being all fresh and rebuilt. Okay, so this is pretty much a similar angle to the one before. I've had to just put it on the edge just so the throttle body's hanging over the edge, but there we can see the carbs are all clean and ready to go, and that has been quite a challenge really to get them all cleaned up. See, new jets, 2 new floats, the original floats that I've just used with new pins, and yeah, all new jets, all cleaned out. All clean, ready to be put back together with the gasket on the bottom. All the float heights have been set as well. Hopefully you can see there that they are. Okay, so just got to put these tabs over the float before we can put the bowls back on. So there are just some notches that they locate into. And then we will be installing new gasket into the float bowl, so hopefully it will stay in there nicely. It's not a pre-formed O-ring on here. Thought this might be a bit of a pain. A pre-formed O-ring would have been much nicer. Okay, so I'm just going to try a tiny amount of grease on the O-ring just to try and get it to stick in this recess, because it doesn't want to stick. Obviously don't want to put so much grease that it overflows into the carb. Don't want any grease in the float bowl, but I'm just hoping that a thin amount of grease. so I finally managed to get the first one on after a lot of fiddling around. So the only way I've really found it to stay there is just to put a small dab of grease in each corner. But if these were formed in the shape of this groove, which I know some gaskets are, then it would make life a hell of a lot easier. Just a lot of fiddling around trying to get that gasket to seat and then also get it back on the carb without it just popping back off again. So just going to get the rest of them done and then yeah, show you the final thing really. Okay, so the float bowls are all back on now. So those gaskets were a little bit of a pain. Like I mentioned, I have had to use grease just on the corners of each bowl. Ideally, I wouldn't have used anything like that, just run the risk of sort of getting grease in the float bowls, but I was very careful and just literally used a tiny amount just on each corner just to keep the O-ring in place as I placed it on. So the next step is sinking these carbs, which basically means if we flip these over, so what we need ideally is for all of these slides to be at the same height. So all we're gonna use is a 3mm drill bit and just slide it in there almost like a feeler gauge, and then you can adjust these screws here to adjust the height of the slide, and then we'll get them all matching, which is just basically a baseline setting just before we sort of get the bike started, and then we can then move on to like a vacuum sink in the future. So I'm just going to get these all adjusted up now. The only other job that we've got to do is remake the fuel overflow lines that attach to here, which we'll do after we sync them. Okay, so what we're going to do is just use this 3mm drill bit just to slide in almost like a feeler gauge. So at the moment the gap is too big, so I can sort of slide that around and there's a lot of gap. So all you would do is just slide this drill bit in just right next to the needle, as straight as you can get it. Turn it down, use it almost like a feeler gauge just until you can feel a slight amount of drag. Okay, so then we move on to the next one. So the next one's too tight, so we need to go the opposite way, so loosen it off, and that will increase the gap until you can slide the drill bit in, and then we will just go backwards to tightening it. You just want a little bit of drag. Okay, so once you're sort of happy with that, we'll just sort of lightly lock down the nuts on here. Come back to these. So pretty happy that that's where these two need to go. And then I'll just go to this side. Loads of room there, so again, undo those nuts, screw down, get your 3mm drill bit and just use that as a feeler gauge until you can just feel. Just one thing that I noticed whilst doing this is that obviously because the slides are on a spring, if you do just put the drill bit in and nip them down like you would with like valves, for instance, when you're doing your valve clearances, if you nip it down you can sort of keep going, and then when you pull the drill bit out, if you go back to do it, it won't fit. So you almost need to put the drill bit in until you can feel the drag, wind it in without the drill bit, rather than leaving the drill bit in. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I think that will go in with a bit of drag. See, this one now is loose. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy that they're all set. Obviously, like I've said before, when the bike's running, I probably will do like a proper vacuum sync on the carbs, but this just at least gives you like a good bass tune for when you get the bike, well, for the first start really, that I know that now that all the carbs have sort of been adjusted equally, so all the slides are at the same level. So I'll go ahead and just get all these nuts locked down, and then the next job really, I need to lock these lock nuts down as well, is to remake the fuel overflow lines that yeah, basically the old ones are completely perished. So I'm going to say that's the carbs done for now, minus locking off all the lock nuts. See, everything moves now, so yeah, perfect. So these are the old overflow pipes that come out the bottom, which have broken away super hard. I mean, they're not going to last long at all. They will just snap off. So I've got this pipe here, which is brand new. Obviously, a lot more durable. So I'm just going to match the lengths up now, reuse these clips here, which obviously keep them all together. So I'm just going to cut them all to length now. So I've got 5 meters of this, so hopefully that's enough. So about the 2 lengths here. Okay, so that's that one. Which I'll just put that with that so we know which one it is. Next one. Okay, so I think these 2 are the ones that go into the top, and then these 4 are the ones that go into the bottom. So imagine they're all pretty much the same. Okay, so I think I'm just going to make these all the same length. So let's use this one as a reference. So we've got enough there with some left over just in case. So that's 4 pipes there, all roughly the same height. Get rid of the old ones for now. They won't be staying on forever because they'll be going in a box, and I don't want to get them all kinked up, but I'll sort of try them on for now, and then they'll all come together. Okay, so I think it might go something like that. Obviously, we can check it out finally when they go back together, but obviously they need all the clips going on, and I do have enough length there to remake some if need be. We'll leave those now. They'll be coming off anyway, but for now, that's everything, I think. Okay, cool. So that's the carbs done. and ready to package up. So yeah, they've been stripped down, cleaned, rebuilt, done a bench sink on them, so they should just be ready to go on the bike now when we put it back together. So these will be packaged up now, put away, safe, and left aside. So yeah, pretty happy with how they've come out. Obviously we've had a couple of hurdles to get over along the way, but yeah, they're back together now and ready to move on to the next job, which will be rebuilding the wheels, which I've made a start on already. So that'll be in the next video, either later this week or early next week. And yeah, if you've liked this video so far, then please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, then subscribe to the channel. There are another couple of videos on this build already on the channel, so if you haven't seen those, then you can click somewhere below and see those. But yeah, until the next one, that'll be it for now, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.